Welcome to the Black Girl Burnout podcast. Kelley here. And today we have another fantastic guest. This time it is Mackenzie Green. Mackenzie Green is a dynamic leader, a creator, and a digital strategist with over 13 years experience of driving social media innovation and marketing campaigns in the entertainment, tech, and luxury sectors. She currently serves as the VP of Social at Future PLC. Mackenzie oversees social initiatives for major brands like Who, What, Where, and Marie Claire, shaping digital strategies and amplifying engagement and follower growth. She has a sharp eye for trends and a deep understanding of consumer behavior, and she's led marketing efforts for brands you might recognize like the NHL, Amazon Studios, and other top-tier companies. But that's not all that Mackenzie does. Mackenzie also has transformed her leadership and acumen in digital marketing into becoming a prolific content creator. She is a recognized voice in the industry. She is an IMS 2025 speaker and has been featured on her agency podcast, the House of Content podcast, and the main stage presenter at the Los Angeles Comic-Con. She also co-hosts the Taylor Strecker Show, Vanderpump Robs, and her own podcast, The World Needs Nerds, where she shares her insights on culture, entertainment, and all things blurred. Now, if Mackenzie's last name sounds familiar, it's because she's very deeply influenced by her legacy as the daughter of Ernest Green, one of the Little Rock Nine, a pivotal figure in the civil rights movement. This heritage of courage and social change underpins and inspires her work. We have a fantastic conversation, Mackenzie and I, and really you could start to hear some of the themes that we pick up on. Mackenzie's led a pretty broad life. She's tried a lot of things, and we talk about harnessing the power of the zigzag and joy and how you can create a life that is not so small, but can be broad and can take in all of your interests, all of your desires, all of your talents, and still thrive in every iteration of your life. The title for this episode is Joy is the Thread, because I believe that is the thread that pulls together all the things that Mackenzie has done, and she has done a lot that I haven't even covered that we're going to get into. But what has kept her going as she zigged and zagged and tried new things is joy. And I think there's a conversation to be had here for all of us to be reminded that if we keep joy at the forefront, there's literally nothing we can't do. Okay, let's jump into the conversation. I can't wait for you to hear it. Mackenzie, we have just had the most delightful conversation. Like we jumped right into conversation like we've known each other for years. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be on the podcast. It's a surreal feeling when you're a fan of something, listening to it, and you're like, well, now I'm on the thing.
It's so funny. I saw you. I said, oh, look at this person. Because everyone who quotes the podcast, DMs about I'm the one combing through it all because I'm just obsessively consuming content. And I was like, who is this lady? And then I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh. And even more O's later. I was like, oh my gosh, Mackenzie needs to be on the podcast. And truly? So everyone is truly, you need to be on the podcast.
My mind was blown when you were like, you should come on the show. I said, wow, she must need guests. What is happening here?
We don't have to tell them that part. No, I did not. No, absolutely not. I reject that. You are impressive, and I couldn't. Everyone is hearing. We've already heard your bio. You are super impressive. And this is the type of people I want on the podcast, Black women on the podcast who have this big, bold life. And I know we were talking about how we're still learning how to walk in that boldness. But even in that, I have to tell you, like, you are still living this big, bold life. And so first, before I jump into the burning question I have, how are you doing today? Let's start with that. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm coming off of what I like to call a highlight reel week for sure. That is taking a moment to like re-enter back into normal life for sure. But I say that it was a highlight reel week, but it was also a vision expanding week that kind of put the battery back in my back of like staying focused and knowing that, you know, good things are always happening. So yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah. Look, I saw you on Instagram. Yes, You are living my dreams. I'm like, oh, this is someone's mood board and vision board for 2025. It's Mackenzie in Paris. And Mackenzie dressed up, hanging out with Gabrielle Union and Tia Mowry. And I was like, okay, girl, just
That was, yeah. I mean, that being reminded of as well, that was the wild situation where you're sitting at a dinner and you're like, oh, there's Essence Atkins. And then people are like, so what are
yes.
you doing this week? We should get together. And you're like, I'm going to Paris. And I'm like, please don't think this is my normal life. I'm like, I'm usually at Disneyland. Like, that is the extent of my cool stuff I do.
Let them believe it. No, no,
Yeah,
we're keep that going. So you have all kinds of conversations when you get together with these folks and expand, your world domination. I
exactly.
just think that is so amazing. And that is one of the things that I was really excited to have you on. The reason why I wanted to have you on is I love telling stories about people who zigzag with their career. And you've had this kind of like I always explain to folks that like I have gone all over. Where I started and where I am now, there is no straight line. There is no like, oh, right. Okay, this makes sense. It's a lot of zigzagging. So for you, it's like athletics, pageantry, media, corporate leadership. You've gone all over. And so I want to know like how has that zigzagging kind of shaped your identity and the way you feel about success and your success for that point? Has it helped?
Definitely. I would say athletics. So I was a very, very, very serious swimmer and horseback rider. I've won Washington International, which you're in the DC area, so you know that
Wow.
show. I was a junior Olympian, D1 swimmer. Yeah, my mom was teasing me once where she was like, Mackenzie, how many times did you go to the Junior Olympics? And I go, I think I stopped counting after 12. And I had athletic, Olympic aspirations. And then when that was kind of out of my life, what I was able to distill it down to is that I missed discipline and I missed having like a big goal, right? And so a lot of times people see that zigzag. And the next part of the zigzag from athletics over to pageantry was that I wanted to prove to myself swimming wasn't an anomaly in my life. I wasn't good at it because I was built a certain way or whatever it was. It was that I was able to see an end destination, break down the small steps to get there, right? And so I lovingly say I had a quarter of a life crisis on the eve of my 20th birthday when swimming was no longer a part of my life. And kind of flipped out and said like, well, what is everything I always wanted to do when swimming was a part of my life and kind of consumed everything. And so one of them was run a marathon. I did not consider myself a runner. And the moment I finished my first marathon, my best friend and my family were with me. And she said, well, what's next? And I said, I want to be Miss Universe. And because I am such a, this is the goal, I'm going to get it. My family did not hesitate to be like, well, how does it happen? They all literally were like, well, let's just look up where Miss Universe is and start figuring out how to get tickets because she's probably going to pull it off. And so they stopped though and they were like, oh, okay, so first she's got to win Miss USA. Got it, got it. So let's all figure out where we're staying in Vegas when this happens because she'll probably pull it off. And so I was able to apply everything I knew from swimming of like taking a goal and breaking it down to pageantry. So in the course of a year, never having to have competed, I went from never having to have been in a pageant, only ever seen one live, to standing on the same stage for one of the biggest pageants in the world, the biggest one in the country, and representing my home city. And so then kind of that amalgamation of athletics, of the discipline of athletics, and then also this idea of image and personal branding of pageantry mixed together for me to parlay what I learned in pageantry and actually some of what I won in pageantry. I used to get myself a corporate finance certificate from Georgetown and then parlayed that into applying to business schools, and ended up going to Columbia Business School. And so when I was there, it was really a journey of figuring out what do I love? And it was like, I love storytelling. I love storytelling. And so although my career has kind of spanned like media, entertainment, now kind of in fashion, it's always that connective thread of storytelling for me. And then a little bit of statistics because I like numbers, to quote Caddy Heron from Mean Girls, it's like numbers are undeniable no matter where you are. So yeah, those are kind of, that's how the non-linear journey took shape. Each thing taught me something for the next. And then in terms of my career, it's always taking the discipline that sports taught me and then the image part and the brand that pageantry taught me with me wherever I go.
I love that because it's about skills. I think one of the things that
Yeah.
I get so excited about expanding the horizon of what we can do as Black women and
Yes.
really kind of embracing this multi-passionate existence. There's this belief that like you got to stick to the plan, you got a 10-year plan, you got to stick
Absolutely.
to it. And if you don't stick to it, you're not going to be successful. Like it's got to be 2 plus 2. And what I love having these conversations, it's like, one, I can anecdotally say that that's not true because I can be like, I'm a social worker from a small town. It was like running behind homeless, unhoused people, poor things, and trying to get them like to take their medication. And now I do something radically different. I'm building bots for fun now, as we talked about off camera.
Yep.
But that is not a normal linear journey. So I know anecdotally for me, that's not the case. But what I love is I keep meeting woman after woman, highly successful women, and all of them have this thread. It's the zigzag. Like that needs to be like its own thesis statement. It's like what happens when you actually bounce and you just pick up skills that you hone along the way, right? Like that's what the key is. It's not just like aimlessly drifting and doing a thing, but like what skill did I get here? Oh, I got this. I learned how to personal brand through pageantry. Oh, this makes sense. I can apply this over here. And so what would your advice be for people who are listening who are just like, I'm multi-passionate, but I also feel like people are telling me to stay the course or I should stay in my lane. Like what have you learned by being multi-passionate? What do you think
Yeah.
other
I
women can
think
learn?
there is an incredible book by a gentleman, David Epstein, called Range. It is one of my favorite books I've read. I reread it every year because ultimately what it's about, and one of the examples he uses is that Serena Williams is a trained ballet dancer. This idea of having multiple areas of interest, multiple kind of curiosity threads, as I like to call them, that you follow, help to make you more of this incredible Swiss Army knife in all areas of your life. So it's like we could argue Serena's a trained ballet dancer. Who else was out there getting the ball in a full split, being able to move so fast on their feet, pirouette around and get that's the little bits and randomness of that. This woman, what she went to cosmetology school so she could learn to do
Yes.
nails. You can best
Yes.
believe when she's sitting in meetings for her own beauty brand or when she was sitting in clothing meetings, she understands the importance of those fine details to bring something together. I think when you allow yourself to follow and cultivate multiple passions and hobbies and all these things, it all helps to inform you. I make a joke all the time and I tease my mom about it. When I was growing up, I was not allowed to have a Barbie unless they had a job. And so
Yes.
like when people would talk about Barbie being unrealistic, I had no idea that there was like a Christmas sparkle time Barbie, there was like a hair girl. I didn't know. I thought when people were talking about her being unrealistic, it was the fact that it was telling young girls you can be a race car driver, doctor, lawyer, babysitter,
Astronaut.
baker, astronaut, homeowner with a Corvette. And I was like, yeah, down with her. And so I joke with my mom, like, the reason I feel like I am all these things is that I wanted to be the Barbie that came with a ton of different accessory packs. You can pick up pageantry Mackenzie, or you can get athlete Mackenzie, and then you can get, talent Mackenzie. And I just think it all informs what I do, right? Being a content creator helps me in my role in a corporate role working on social and digital innovation. I'm taking stuff I'm trying on my own accounts into the corporate field that people are mind blown because a lot of my peers don't make their own content. They're not personalities. It's like I'm taking, like I said, what I learned in pageantry and applying it to personal branding as a professional. And so I have peers going like, wow, you write a lot on LinkedIn. And I'm like, well, crazy thing is I learned from this part of my life where I wore sparkly dresses and had to give speeches once a month about causes that were important to me, that's how you build the paper trail that people can follow to get back to who do we reach out to for this. So yeah, I mean, I think my advice would be like, if you don't read that book, then it's being able to follow your curiosity threads and applying them. What is the kind of what are those skills that you learn from that you can use in other areas?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That's what I would tell folks. I would say it follow every curiosity, but always think about what's the skill I'm learning and how can I apply it other places. Like do things that you love to love them just for the sake of love, but at the same time, I think what is the key that I'm seeing the commonality is that it's that, oh, not only is this a hobby, not only is this something I'm curious about, but I can see how this will improve my life. And I can see how this could help me get to this next stage. And I definitely, when I think about what I do now and do risk consultancy and work with Fortune 500 and tech companies, it's like, what did I learn running behind, unhoused folks who needed extra support? I learned building programs scrappy. I learned like the different things. I learned how to navigate risk and conflict in real time. Like, and that's the skill. It's like, okay, that's what I use day to day, which is absent at this level a lot of times in corporate. Nobody's risk focused. People don't think about those things. So it's like there's ways, and then just things I like doing because I'm like nerdy and love a thing. It's like, well, how could I leverage that? And I think that is the key, particularly for Black women, to keep leveraging. And then I think find the thread. Like that brings me, like your thread you said was storytelling, right? It's
Yeah.
like no matter what you were doing, like whether it's with your body, you're telling a story in swimming, or pageantry with your words, or in business school, you really zoned in on and honed in on storytelling as your thing.
Yes.
And so people should always find that thing too. And
Yes.
I think that's those two things together make like you a superstar, I
It
think.
really, I think it really does make you indispensable, right? There's just as much I learned building Lego as I do going to a tennis lesson. It's like
Yes.
there are, and
Yes.
I think that comes from being present. I joked that before this interview, I was doing my own research, making myself study in preparation, and I was reviewing Ryan Holiday's Stillness is Key. And one of the big parts he talks about in there is being present. And I think the way you find those connective tissues and you find those threads is also when you're in the moment of a thing that lights you up, being truly present and being like, "Ooh, what is it that I'm loving right now about this tennis lesson? Oh my God, what is it about when I go get my hair done that just like, or when I experiment with my nails is making me feel so like alive and here?" And you're like, "Oh, it's the art element. I like, crafting a thing. All right, well, when I go to work tomorrow, what about instead of doing my usual PowerPoint presentation, I get on Canva and I visually make it interesting in a way that the same way I would, the clothing I put together or the fashion story I'm trying to tell." It's like, I think it's that there are such weirdly meditative moments that you can find that help you get to what is that connective tissue that just takes a moment of like silence and stillness for yourself.
Absolutely. And being able to know that and to be present within yourself to do that is what is key. And I think that's the part that people don't ever get to,
Yeah.
but there's so much reward on the other side of it, right? It's like first you have to be like know enough to know, oh, I need to be still and like reflective and not just on autopilot. And I think that is the key. And I think for you with this digital storytelling, I'm really fascinated by this because I'm like I've stumbled into content creation. Like I never intended to go into it at all. Like 0%. I'm like so angry that podcasting now has you have to put your face out there. I was like, I thought it was radio. I've my whole life I dreamed
Yes.
of just being behind a desk on the radio, and now y'all got me out here on camera. But I really didn't see myself as a content creator, but I am fascinated by storytelling, right? And so for me, like I want to know from you, from your perspective, what's the landscape like right now? Like, what do you find, particularly for Black women? Like, what do you think are the narratives that Black women are craving at this moment?
Yeah, I think one of them, a mentor of mine, has coined it. She calls it the corporate socialite. It's women in these positions of power with these director jobs or executive jobs or C-suite roles who are also showing this very luxurious life, right? And they're
Yeah.
showing, and it again, it takes me to pageantry. I remember part of the reason I also wanted to do it is because I'm a child of, my adolescence was during the 2000s, like during the Kimora Lee Simmons, like video vixen era of like, if you wanted to be a baddie who was beautiful, it was like smart girls go over here, womp womp. But it was like the baddies are over here. And I was always kind of like, well, I don't have it in me to be a baddie, but I like the way they look. And it was kind of like, that was what my favorite thing about pageantry was, is when I would go to these schools and these girls are like, wait, so you kind of look like a baddie, but you in college? And you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I am. And it's like, so you, like, even just now, this last week, having people in my DMs who were like, girl, you got flued out to Paris. I'm like, I did corporately. Look at
Yes.
that. I got corporate flued out. There are options. I think there's like, yeah, exactly. Ding. It's like, I think what's so fun about this new era of kind of the corporate socialite who is not afraid to have the full time job, show also how they're having the wonderful vacations. I think that stuff is necessary because it creates a vision expansion. You don't know what you want, you don't know how to manifest it until you see some sort of an example. I always tell people I did not believe pageantry was ever going to be for me. And there were two moments that happened. It was the year Shantae Hinton won, a former Miss DC, and the entire top five was Black that year. And that was the first time I was kind of like, whoa, wait a second. Hmm? What's going on here? And the second time was I was a senior in high school and a girl came back to speak to us. And I was in the back of the auditorium at Good Counsel. And I did not hear a thing this girl said, but it was almost like the entire room went silent and a spotlight dropped on her in my mind because all of a sudden she was holding this crown up. And in my head, I was like, if a girl from this school has a shiny tiara, that means anybody from here can get a tiara. Like I always think about too that story. And I think what the kind of corporate socialite content does is that story of the 4 minute mile, right? Everybody thought it was impossible to run a 4 minute mile until someone did it. And so I think why oftentimes people crave that content is you're told that there's a certain box, like we talked about with being multifaceted, there's a certain box you have to fit in to have success in these professional arenas, a certain look, a certain way you talk, a certain way you present yourself. And I think what a lot of those women do is they are the 4 minute mile. You now see it. You know it's possible to get a promotion and enjoy a vacation in a swimsuit. Because again, showing my age, I remember when professors used to pull your Facebook up in a class to try to shame you, to be like, this is you at a dinner, and now you've got women being like, this is me swag surfing at Cannes Lion. I also got a promotion when I came back from this. So I think that's a part that people crave. And then I would say the other, and it seems kind of in conflict or perhaps like the antithesis of it, but I think it goes hand in hand, is almost this like this Nancy Myers soft life. What does somebody call it? They're calling it Southern Black grandma. It's like, I love that we've like coined our own aesthetic. We're like, I'm not doing coastal grandma. I'm not calling it like, I'm going to call it like millennial, like Southern Black grandmother. But this idea of like, we do bake bread and it's not in a weird trad wife thing. It's like, no, we love a fresh cut flour and a dinner party and bringing your friends together and, in Meghan Markle ways, making our cut up fruit plate with clouds made out of yogurt. It's like, I think they seem as though they are on kind of disparate sides of the spectrum, but they're the same thing. It's Black women saying, I can contain a multitude. I can be all of these things at one time and look at these examples. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what we're craving right now.
The expansiveness and the
Yes.
softness of it, the
Yes.
expansiveness and the softness of it. The would you say Southern grandma? I love that
Yeah.
aesthetic. I like the cottage core. Like I'm
Yes.
obsessed with Black women who twirl in a field. I
Do
want
too.
all of that on my feed every day. As
I
someone who grew
love
up
the
reading Jane
frolicking.
Austen, yes,
Yes.
frolic. We need to
I
start
love the
a
frolic.
frolic
I love
movement.
I love Black women who hike. Like I was also really in love with that trend at one point of Black men frolicking in fields and
Yes,
being like, I heard we're frolicking. Or right now there's this
yeah,
whole thing of Black men being like, I drink matcha. And like the
yeah.
guy that coined that is right now in Japan on like a tour of traditional matcha tea. And I just
I
love that
love that
Black
too.
people have just decided like, no, we are not one thing. And like, and it's like, and we show up as ourselves everywhere we go. It's like, I love that this man is like, hey, I'm out here. I'm getting matcha, y'all, in Japan. And I'm like, I love that. I'm like, I love that you didn't go to Japan and code switch. While simultaneously, I love the Black men who are like, absolutely, they're my fellow Jack and Jill brethren. And they're like, hey guys, watch me spend my adult money to build so many Lego. Like,
It's so many, and then maybe frolic,
yeah,
because
and then
that's what I
frolic.
hear we're doing now. I'm gonna go
Yes.
frolic in a field. I think that the expansiveness, and I think it's directly tied to the absence of being able to do that, right? Like it's like a form of its own resistance, right? To be able to go out into the world and to say frolicking and cottage core and, cutting flowers and making your own garden, that has been exclusively for white folks and for either rich white folks or people who are like off the land and doing the trad wife aesthetic. That's not me, right? Or that I can be corporate and still
And
love
be a Pilates
makeup
girl. Yeah, it's
and be a
like,
Pilates girl and want to get brand sponsorships the same way we see all these white influencers. And I think whatever path people choose, it's just about the ability to even see that as a possibility and to name it and claim it. And I think that's what's so beautiful that's happening in the digital storytelling. And I also feel like for you, what do you think brands, I think, should be conscious of, and people especially now, because we're in this whole like anti-DEI nonsense, and that's a wave that's going to come and go. That's
it
been around.
really
Like, I don't
is.
know why
Yeah.
we're freaking out. Like, come on. Anti-DEI, everybody's been anti-DEI. I mean,
Yeah.
anyways, I digress. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but my point of saying that is what do you think brands and content, what are they getting right and what are
Yeah.
they getting wrong about this? Because there's this whole like conversation about black dollars and black storytelling, and do we
Yes.
do it, do we back away from it? There's all these like studies, and what do you think people are getting wrong in the consumerism and like the people who
Yes.
are sponsoring this kind of content?
I think oftentimes with brands, particularly when they're dealing with Black content creators, I oftentimes tell friends of different brands, you've got to ignore the brief you sent through. And you have to trust that they know their audience. And honestly, they know your Black audience better than you do. Because I think oftentimes, like I'll use an example of something that I particularly love, Disney. There is so much of a conversation around Disney adults, right? And when I do any kind of conversation around it, and people are like, ooh, Disney adults cringe, I'm like, pause. I'm a Black Disney adult. Let
That's a
me,
different kind. That's
I'm
a
like,
different,
that's a
excuse
different
me.
kind. I'm like, I have never in my life pushed a child to go hug a character. That's weird. I'll get arrested, kicked out. I am not throwing a fit about how long the line is at Disney. Absolutely not. And it's funny because you're watching a company like Disney still do the Power of Black Joy events, and they're stepping back. They're not coming to these creators and saying, here's what we need you to capture on the boat. They're like, here are the parts of the boat we would love to see in your content. We're going to back away. And what has happened from that? It cracks me up that like Disney is just now realizing, oh, Black Disney adults have decided a Goofy movie is a Black movie. They
Yes,
go
Goofy's Black.
ham.
He's ours. It's
They're like
true.
they're like not only that, they know the power line dance. And I was laughing because this group of content creators that was on a Disney cruise recently, they literally were doing the power line dance. And then what happens? Disney now is like, I just saw it recently. Disney was like, we're releasing Powerline merch. Very smartly, the person they have modeling the clothes is a Black man. I joked with someone and said, if this ad had happened and they had like a white guy in it, I would have said, so you guys have totally missed the point of who has made this movie relevant and kept it relevant. Like, let's keep it a buck. Tevin Campbell sang the main song on the soundtrack. Like, let's be so for real right now. We claim that movie probably harder than we do like The Lion King. And you would think we would, and that one is set in Africa. And
I
instead,
know.
people are like, goofy movie. I mean, you have
Goofy.
an entire episode of Atlanta about it. And so, like, I think
Yes.
oftentimes brands think they know that customer. And then when you're watching like a Gloria or you're watching a lot of these like Black wellness people, it's like, yeah, you got to step back and let them just do the thing without getting so stuck on the brief. It's like just I work with a lot of content creators, like one of my consulting jobs, because I like to say I'm a good Jamaican. I have at least 6 jobs at all times. But
Yes.
one of my jobs is I oversee the influencer marketing for Los Angeles Comic Con. One of the biggest things I had to work up the trust with them is do not tell me what we can and cannot do. And so I bring in this Black creator. He's incredible. Jordan Martin, brilliant, like one of the premier blurred content creators. It is the stuff he makes so smart. So smart. And I remember the first time Jordan and I were working together, and it was like really his first big brand thing. He was like, what are the rules? And I said, listen, we just follow Mike Bivens rules. You do whatever you want, just don't curse. Like,
Yes. Yes. That's it.
I'm not going to tell because you know what makes sense today. You know your audience. You know that if you said you were partnering with us, what people were expecting to see, and people that haven't met you before are about to see what you do here. And what have we seen year over year now with Jordan doing kind of blurred forward content? He takes Family Day to strictly show Black vendors, Black families. This last year, he and I both had people stop us and say, hey, this is my first year bringing my kids, Black families. It's because they watch you guys last year on the account. And they were like, hey, mom and dad, it's safe here. I think if LA Comic Con had come to us and been like, this is what a nerd is, and this is the kind of person we talk to, we need you to speak to that. You know, it's why Fenty works, because they step back and they're not putting a certain type of body in their underwear. It's because Rihanna knows the baddies will sell the swimsuits and the bikinis and the lingerie. You know, I think so many it's Target. It's Target truly thinking, we don't need them.
Yeah.
We're fine. And being
Now they're
shocked
finding
to
out.
to find out, who do you think is coming in here for
Yes,
hours
has
on
claimed
end?
it. Yes,
Like,
have
who do
claimed
you think
Target.
called this plate Target? Where do you think
I
that
know.
name came from? You know, it's missing those things. And I think oftentimes brands are fine with us putting them on, but forgetting to keep us and court us at the party. And then they're the first people to be shocked when the parade moves on, because to be quite honest, we move culture. So if we
Yes.
decide this isn't cool and we're no longer talking about it, that kid in Kansas doesn't care about Target anymore.
So when we talk about constipation, bloating, heaviness, sluggishness, these aren't just random symptoms. They're actually your gut's way of telling you something's off. Look, I'm going to be real with you. As a podcaster and a consultant and a writer, I'm always on the go. And I have struggled for years to maintain my energy, to really keep myself kind of together with bloating around my cycle, all the things you can think of. This is where Oxy Powder from Global Healing came in. Oxy Powder isn't just another cleanse or a quick fix. It's a targeted oxygen-based formula that gently and safely breaks down and flushes out waste and toxins that build up in your gut over time. I take it at night, and by the morning, I'm feeling lighter and clearer, just better. Oxy Powder is easy to take, and because of that, it's become a staple in my routine. And I'm not the only one. A consumer study showed incredible results. 95% said that it relieved constipation, 87% said it felt relief from bloating, and a massive 95% said they would use it again, with 93% recommending it to a friend. If you're tired of feeling weighed down, trust me on this. Head over to globalhealing.com/heal and try Oxy Powder for 20% off. You'll thank me later. That's globalhealing.com/heal. Yeah. The attention to intuition and letting Black intuition and Black knowingness. I think that's part of it too, is like it's an adaptive mechanism, right? It's like there is an adjusting and knowing ahead of the curve as a survival instinct that's now been like in a good way sublimated into the culture, where it's now like we just anticipate what is going to be good, and we can anticipate making something more palatable, because that's been like the culture. It's been like,
And
how do we
even
make
when
something better?
And even when we're cringe, it's the coolest thing
Yes.
ever. Like that Black man that just recently did that morning routine video.
Oh, that was ridiculous. Sir,
It's ridiculous.
stop it.
It's so
I know.
silly. But
And
here
he's
you
got
have
to be in on the joke. He's
and that's
in
the
on
thing.
it.
And now you have Sprite making a video. I just saw it today on LinkedIn where they have a bowl filled with Sprite and ice.
Yes.
You know, and Saratoga Springs is like, we heard you were talking about us. Let's be real. If he had done it with a bottle of Evian, everybody would be talking about Evian. It's like Marcus Collins has this great book called For the Culture. He used to be Beyonce's marketing and branding person. And so much of that book is about the culture and its impact on the behavioral science of marketing and branding. And it's kind of like, I don't know what to tell you guys. You know, I joke about it in my work all the time with my manager. I'm like, I don't need a Gen Z employee. I just stay Black. And then I can tell you what's going to be hot, because 9 times out of 10, Gen Z slang is just Ebonics that we repackaged as AAVE, not to make everybody uncomfortable. And I can tell you what's going to be the new trend or the new thing, you know? And I mean, listen, people are still walking around being like, sorry to this man. And it's like, all
Yes.
because Kiki Palmer is hilarious and so odd in the best way
Did,
possible.
yes, didn't know who Dick Cheney was and was sorry to this
Exactly.
man. That, and people don't even know the genesis. And that's the other part too, is like there becomes this disconnection where people don't even know who
Yeah.
originated it so they can
Yes.
properly benefit. And just for one, I think for folks listening who are in the space or have ambitions to be in content creation, it is one, it's wonderful to have someone like you in the space, because as someone who's a content creator and constantly having to validate for brands, like I built this with no money. Like it's my money. Like, and there's thousands of people. Like, I know what I've got to know what I'm talking about to be ranking in this percentile and doing all these things, right? And yet that's never the conversation with 90% of the brands. It's like, oh, but the followers, and oh, but can you move? Clearly, if you're making nothing into something, which Black people have been doing forever, they have an intuition about what works. It's like, clearly I understand marketing. So you actually do want me on your product and you want me to promote it if I actually believe in it, because I know how to sell it better. Don't give me a script and tell me what to say. I know how to sell it better than you do to the audience you want me to reach. And so it's like, it's great, one, that you're there for that purpose, and two, to keep relying on your intuition and to keep showing up, because guy in the water bowl, I mean, he knew he was going to rage bait. Let's
Yeah.
be clear, he knew that was going to send people to the moon.
It,
Putting your face
it's
in 2-minute journaling is such nonsense. That was
rubbing your
crazy work.
face with a banana peel, chef's kiss. I said, either you are the smartest person that has ever walked this earth, or you're so cringy. And I love that you're going to
Either
become
way.
so wealthy off of cringe.
Exactly. Either way, like we know there isn't a knowing, and so it's like, don't be afraid. Most of the people are not going to be banana peel person, right? They're
Yeah.
going to have, they probably have some great ideas, and so keep showing up, keep putting your content out
Yes.
to the world, because there are people still out there like you who is letting people
Yeah.
go on the Disney cruise. I know like 2 people went on the Disney cruise as influencers. And I was like, okay, Black people going on Disney, but Black people have been cruising. Again, like
Exactly.
the intersection of all of it is chef's kiss.
Yes.
And it's still out there for people to pursue if they want
It's
to. It's
it's
not a dead
what
end.
makes this role the greatest compliment I ever got professionally is in the role I'm in now. Somebody said, I can tell you work there. This was like a new employee. And they said, I just want you to know I can tell you work here. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were just like, I can tell the shift in the celebrities I see on the cover and the articles that see, like whether it's directly you or whether it's people feeling empowered because they see your face, like I can tell you're here. And I think that is the greatest compliment and why I continue to want to be in these spaces. I'm lucky enough because of the legacy I come from to know that the first person through the wall is the bloodiest, but it's worth it. And I oftentimes when people are like, "Oh, I feel bad that like you're the FOD," as Shonda Rhimes calls it, first only different. I am comfortable with that because part of me feels like I was built for that. I know what that involves and it doesn't scare me. And so I'm happy to be the FOD if it helps somebody else expand their vision and want to step into that space as well, unapologetically as themselves. And so, yeah, I'm more than happy to get a little banged up in the process if I can look behind me and see a bunch of people coming through that wall.
Completely understand and relate. I think it's noble, it's meaningful, and we need people like you. Like it's a must. And for those listening, it's like, you don't have to, because someone exists, because Mackenzie exists. You just get to show up and do your content and just be deliberate. And again, take those skills we talked about earlier, right? Take the skills that you're learning and the curiosity, pull on those threads and move and let yourself expand. And in order to do that, though, you have to make time, like we talked about in the beginning, have some stillness, have some concept of rest. And so I want to, like, this conversation is flying, but I want us to kind of land talking about what I love talking about amongst everything, which is this concept of the opt out. And it's been a movement. I was like, I've been saying this since 2021. Like the podcast is literally like opt out of struggle. Like opt out, opt in is the titles. And I was like, finally, it's my time, y'all. It's my time. It's the moment where we are opting out of nonsense. It's like there's this collective cultural awakening to the systems don't work. And I keep putting my faith in them. And I don't know when I'm just going to stop. And so it's a moment and a calling for us to kind of step back. And
Yep.
so, how do you think that is helping people, one, reshape the stories we're getting, but also just how do you think that's helping Black women? Like, is it helping you? Has it touched you in any way? Let's start with that. Has it touched you in any way, and how's it helping you?
It has, because I think that's why the 92% rest movement like has been so profound to me, but also feels foreign, right? I was, again, in my nerdy little research prior to this, I was rereading Trisha Hersey's Rest is Resistance, and she has like this brilliant quote where she talks about like from the moment we were brought here as Black women, like we have been exploited for our emotional, physical, and spiritual labor. And I think that's
Yes.
also why this rest movement feels so foreign to us, because I think we don't have a generational blueprint of the generative state that is rest and stillness. We have the blueprint for burnout. And I think that's why
Yes.
a podcast like this grabbed my attention so fast, because we don't acknowledge that we're even burned out. We'll just think we're failing. And so I think I find it to be such a beautiful and important movement, because I do agree with Trisha Hersey, like rest is resistance, you know. There's another line she has in there where she's like, "Our bodies are ancient, but capitalism is new," you know, and we have gotten so good at ignoring that still small voice, that little bit of intuition that's like, "Hey, hey, just slow down a little bit. Shh, stop, take a second, take a second. Mm-mm. Go meet up with your girlfriends." And actually, it doesn't have to even be a hookah bar brunch. If you guys just want to like go for go for a hike. Like our point about frolicking, it's like if really what you guys want to do is like be quiet and read next to each other while you listen to cicadas outside, love that. You know, and so I think there's something so beautiful about it. And I think what I love is that we all are continuing to hold each other accountable to stay with it. That it's like, sis, just shh, just be still, just don't do it. Don't let them pull you into it. Because I think, particularly for us as Black women, we very much live in a state of like, if not me, then who? If I don't get in here and save everyone, who will save us? And like, I love the line in the book where she says, like, I'm in awe of what our bodies can hold. We must thrive. We must rest. And I think the only way we carry forward in what is ultimately this great cataclysmic shift that we're seeing is we have to rest so we are prepared for whatever comes next. So we are ready for Reconstruction 2.0, you know, and whatever that looks like, because that's where we are. And I often tell people, I'm like, just study history. Don't even watch the news. Like, just go read about the Reconstruction era. You'll know, you'll get to see all this all over again. That's how we got here. You know, it's
It's the
like,
sequel. Exactly. It's just
truly,
a
it's the
sequel.
sequel. And I'm like, and the crazy part is, we have been the final girls in every version of this horror movie that
Yes.
happens. And so it's like, so don't let everybody worry you to death. You know, it's like, take a moment to rest, because they will. I always say the greatest lesson I had in rest and prioritizing yourself was when Chadwick Boseman passed away. And I remember what was so staggering to me is that the next thing everybody had to say the next day was, who's going to do his job? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. So you will give something everything you have, and you could kill yourself doing it and saving others, and people will just ask tomorrow if you're not here. So now who's
Who
going to
gonna
do
do it?
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Who
And so
got this? Who got this?
I think there's something so beautiful, and I think in order to have imagination and dream and follow your curiosity threads, rest is important. And so I just love this whole opting out movement. I think it's beautiful, because it doesn't mean I'm doing nothing and sitting on the couch in fear. It means I'm taking the time to prioritize myself and regenerate myself through the things that bring me joy, and taking care of the people that I love and that love me in return. So yeah, I love it.
That's the calling. And
Yeah.
and that's the part that I'm glad so many Black women are answering and hearing. It's like we have Audre Lorde who told us 30 years ago, 40 years ago at this point, that it was political activism and that it was self-preservation. She's like, self-care, it's not self-indulgence. Like, she was very specific about how that facilitated the work that she did. And we get lost in that because we've been conditioned. And also I just had Resma Menakem on the show, and he's brilliant. And he talked about how the Black woman's body, he says it's been a buffet
Yes.
for
Yes.
centuries. And
Yep.
and that level of that visual of like the consumerist piece and like just all you can eat, all you can
Yes.
grab, and not compensating and not giving back. And so he said
I
the most revolution go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just read They Were Her Property, and the most staggering part of that book is hearing the quotes from slave owning men and women being like, "You got to get yourself a Black woman, because
They're the best.
they're the best. Because if you get
Yes.
her, you get generations of her family." And you're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god," And then they're like, "They're great for the fancy trade," and you're like, "Wow, people have always seen our inherent value." And like you said, eaten at that buffet.
Yeah.
And I do think what scares people about the 92% movement is this is the first time we are like, I will be feasting at my own buffet. You are
Yes.
not a priority here.
Not allowed. You are not allowed here. And so like the most revolutionary thing is what he finished the thought with is to rest. He's like,
Yeah.
in a world where you are a buffet,
Yes.
close it down. And
Yeah.
guess what? We have the agency now to do that. That's the cool
Yes.
thing. It's like the con is that we believe we don't still in 2025. Like we still are acting like it's 1860 and it's not 2025. It's like,
Yep.
who's going to save the world if I don't? Why don't we find out?
Yeah.
How about this? Let's do a thought experiment. But in
Yes.
the meantime, save yourself. Like the
Yes.
world's going to keep going. People are going to crawl over whatever body fell to keep living,
Yep.
and you need to go to the corner and figure that out. And I
A
think
million
that
percent.
movement and the continuation of it, like not just like, oh, a day of rest. No, we don't
No,
need a
it's
day of
been
rest.
mind-blowing to me to watch people truly be committed to it and being like, and like I said, holding one another accountable. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. And keep going and learning the tools of like while you're at rest, what comes up, what curiosity shows up, what frolic instinct do you have? All those things come up that you reclaim that we haven't culturally had a real time to do. And so I love that. I want everyone to keep doing it. And it's just like it's our time in the best way, in the right way. It's not the time to do 5 side hustles and be, I'm a West Indian too, be a good West Indian and do a 6 side hustle and an LLC and a nonprofit. No,
Yeah.
no. It's not the time to do 55 courses on Hillman
Yeah.
Talk. Stop it.
No, I
Stop it,
can
Black women.
anytime people are like, "Oh my god, what do you do with all the Lego?" I don't know. I just build them and then I put them around my house and I
Thank
like them.
you.
I look at them.
Take a
They make me
breath.
happy.
It's time to frolic. It's time to hug somebody. It is time to lay on the couch. It is time to read. It is time
Yes.
to dance. It's time to listen to whatever the voices inside of you telling you to do next and act on it. It's that time.
Yep.
Start listening, because through that is resistance, but through that is more importantly, like what I'm about is joy, like on
Yes.
the other side of that. And so as we land the plane on this fantastic conversation, Mackenzie, what brings you joy and how do you protect it?
Oh boy. My family brings me joy. And I protect that by unapologetically making them a priority. I don't engage in all that like, ugh, my mom was calling me. I love that lady. She cracks me up. My dad is the funniest person I ever met. So that's how I protect it. I'm like, I don't pretend like they're not amazing and like I don't love them. I would say, and as cheesy as it sounds, I love serving my inner child. I love taking time for little Mackenzie and sometimes just indulging her. And if it's going to Disneyland on a Tuesday, we do, because we got big kid money now and we can take our laptop there, or building a Lego set, or playing in makeup on a Saturday night and not going out, and or reading a book that, as I call them, literary flaming hot Cheetos. They serve no substantive purpose. I won't remember a bit of the plot later, but man, were they a good time when I was in them. And I would say the other one is connecting with my community for sure. And wiggling my little body, going to work out and reminding myself I am in this body, I'm alive, and I love it.
I love that. Absolutely. I love all of that. Mackenzie Green, thank you for coming on the podcast and
Thank
having
you
this
for having
fantastic
me.
conversation. How can people stay connected with you?
Oh man, you guys can find me on Instagram at Miss USA, the number 2 MBA, or on TikTok Kenzie Key MAG. Yes, they're two different accounts because I didn't think anybody would ever watch my TikToks. I also am a podcaster, so I post on my social media my different episodes of the shows I'm on, stuff I'm consuming, and yeah, you can also find me at my 9 to 5, I guess. And if you're in the Florida area in April, I will be one of the main stage speakers at the Influencer Marketing Show. So if you work in this space and you're curious to come, I'd love to have you there.
All right. All that will be in the show notes. Mackenzie, thank you. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the conversation I had with Mackenzie Green, and I hope it serves as a reminder that no matter what you do, if joy is the thread, if joy is the thing you lead with, goodness always follows. All right, here are some ways to support the podcast as we close out. One, I've changed the cadence of this podcast. I have some surprises for you next month, a couple more bonus episodes, but the long story short of it is I need your help getting the word out about this podcast, sharing it far and wide, making sure people know about Black Girl Burnout. So if you like the episode, if you like the content, please share it with someone you think would benefit, share it with a family member, share it with a friend, share. Also, if you haven't subscribed to find out when the episodes are dropping, which is every Wednesday with some bonuses coming your way, please do so and leave a review. Your reviews mean the world to me. Also, if you haven't already, please consider following me across all the social media platforms. It's Black Girl Burnout across all of them. That's Instagram, that's TikTok, that's YouTube, that's Substack, all at Black Girl Burnout. I love each platform like it's my own little child, and they're very different. So what you get on one, you won't necessarily get on the other. So go crazy, follow them all. And for those who were Tumblr girlies or loved blogging or kind of digital personal magazine, then Substack is the place for you. We are exploding there. I have almost 10,000 followers in less than 5 months on that platform, which is crazy. And there I go a little deeper into the concepts we talk about in the podcast. I share my own personal experiences a little more. And for $8 a month, you can subscribe and get another tier of content where I just give you a lot of actionable tips and scripts and boundaries. I'm about to raffle off a free one-on-one session with me. I do special Q&As. There's a lot coming up for my subscribers. So if you've been subscribed and waiting for when the new extra bonus content is going to drop, hang in there. It's coming. I'm working on it now. Okay, I think that's it. Next week is going to be our Q&A episode. And if you listened this long, there's still time to get your questions in. I've got questions on dating, on boundaries and family, on healing, on skincare, summer reads. There is literally nothing I won't answer, so ask me. I'm here for this. So until next week, take care of yourself, take care of each other, rest well, and have a fabulous summer of yes.